Now we're taking a look at a problem where we need to perform various operations on functions. They also want us to find the domain, so we're going to go through that together. So for the first question, you might notice that it says f plus g of x. So basically what this means is we're going to take f of x and we're going to add that to g of x. So our function f of x is 3x plus 1. And our function g of x is 5x minus 9, and we're going to add those together. So we just simply combine like terms. 3x plus 5x is 8x, and 1 plus a negative 9 would be negative 8. So this is just 8x minus 8, so we're going to put that in. Now they're going to ask us about the domain. Again, this is a polynomial function, no fraction, no radical, so this is all real numbers. Alright, next they ask us to find f minus g of x, so that means we're going to take f of x and subtract it from g of x. So that means I'm going to take 3x plus 1 and I'm going to subtract 5x minus 9. So remember, when you subtract a polynomial, you want to apply the negative to every term in the polynomial, or you just think about just changing the signs of every term in the polynomial. So this positive is going to become negative, and this negative is going to become positive. And 3x minus 5x gives us negative 2x. 1 plus 9 gives us 10. So that would be negative 2x plus 10. And then same thing with the domain. It is all real numbers once again. Alright, next they ask us to find f times g of x. So that's going to be where you take f of x and multiply by g of x. So we have 3x plus 1 that we're trying to multiply by 5x minus 9. So that means we need to FOIL. So 3x times 5x is 15x squared. 3x times negative 9 is negative 27x. 1 times 5x is 5x. And 1 times negative 9 is negative 9. Once we combine like terms, we get 15x squared minus 22x minus 9. Again, that's a polynomial, no fractions, no radicals, so that's considered polynomial. So we're just going to enter that in, and of course again the domain is all real numbers. Alright, last but not least, we now want to divide the two functions. So we're going to take f of x divide by g of x. Alright, so that means that we're going to have 3x plus 1, and that's going to go over 5x minus 9. Now, there may be some cases where you could possibly simplify something when you divide two functions, but in this case there's nothing to be simplified, so we're just going to write that in there just like this. So I'm going to select my fraction key and put in 3x plus 1, arrow down, and put in 5x minus 9. Alright, so next it asks about the domain. Now in this one we do have a fraction, so we do have to consider the domain. Remember, for a fraction we don't want the denominator to be 0, so we're saying 5x minus 9 just can't be 0. We can let anything else in for x, but nothing that causes this to be 0. So if I solve this inequality, I get 5x is not equal to 9, and we don't want x to be 9/5. X can be anything else, just not 9/5. And the way that they have this written is we can write it just like this instead of interval notation. So x not equal to 9 over 5, and that's that. Alright, so now it's going back to asking you what's f plus g over 2. So let's take a look. There's two ways you can sort of do this. I think the easiest way would just be to substitute 2 into our resulting sum of the two. So this is technically f plus g of x. So f plus g of 2 would just be where we take this x and replace it with 2. So 8 times 2 minus 8. That would give us 16 minus 8, which would just be 8. Alrighty. And then next it's asking for f minus g of 3. Same thing, we can go back to what we came up with for f minus g, which was this negative 2x plus 10. And so remember, this is f minus g of x. So f minus g of 3, we can just substitute 3 in place of x. This is negative 6 plus 10 would give us a positive 4. And then f times g of 4, we're going to go back to this one here. This was f times g, remember? So this is what you call f times g of x. So f times g of 4, we may need to use a calculator here. So I'm just going to write it all in. I'm going to do 15, open parentheses, 4, caret symbol, squared, minus 22 times 4 minus 9 gives us 143. Alrighty, and then f over g of 1, that's going to be our 3x plus 1 over 5x minus 9. So if I replace this with a 1, I get 3 times 1 plus 1 and 5 times 1 minus 9. So I'd like to do the numerator mentally. So that's just a 4, and that's a negative 4, and 4 divided by negative 4 would be negative 1.